Also, don't forget, we do have a bunch of incentives going on throughout this weekend. Our next incentive at $1,000 is the Hollow Knight Path of Pain exhibition, which the deadline is at the end of the run. So make sure you get that in before the Hollow Knight run, which is at 9 p.m. on Saturday. And we also have a variety of bid wars. Let me pull those back up real quick. So we have a bid war for the Sonic CD soundtrack. You could, if you want to make a donation and put a note that you want to either hear the Japanese soundtrack or the North American soundtrack, make sure you get those in. The cutoff will be before the start of that run. We also have 2 bid wars for the Final Fantasy Free Enterprise 2v2 race. One of them is the sprite for the final boss, which you can choose between a sprite from Deltarune or a sprite from Sonic. Speaking of Deltarune, I am joined by Bernard the Bear and LaurieDBunnykins. How are you two doing today?
I'm just regaining consciousness from my body saying no because I've been up like 4 hours. I've gotten like 4 hours of sleep the past 4 days. Other than that, I guess I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of kicking along, I guess, as normal. I mean, I'm somewhat refreshed, so yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming to join me for this interview. So let's get started. Tell me about your game.
Okay. Do you want to take this one, Laurie?
No, because I hear my dog barking.
Okay. So Deltarune is like, if you've seen Undertale, it might make this a little bit easier, but I'll try to explain. Deltarune essentially is a RPG style game where you control the protagonist and you have to make your way through this underground dark world, whatever you want to call it. You meet up some people along the way and you form up a party, and with your party in tow, you try and make your way back out to the normal world, or whatever you want to call it, I guess. Obviously there's bosses and mini bosses along the way that you have to try and get past, and yeah, there's some similar mechanics to Undertale, which we can go over in a little bit if need be, or something like that if there's another question for it.
Okay. So it's similar to Undertale.
It's similar, but at the same time, there's some major differences. Like, obviously, the combat system is a big change.
I think the word Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine, go.
Okay, I think the word I use to compare this game to Undertale is enhanced. This game came out like a little bit over 3 years after Undertale, the chapter that we'll be playing, so a lot of things are a lot more like fleshed out, and therefore it leads to an experience that isn't actually too different from an Undertale run, but it looks a lot flashier.
So what's some of the things the viewers should be looking for during your run?
I'd say one of the biggest changes between Undertale and Deltarune is the way that encounters. Essentially, we switched from Pokemon, you're in the grass, and you just kind of get an encounter, whatever, to kind of like Earthbound, you can see the enemies on screen. And in this game, you can't run from encounters. So that makes it this kind of quest of we have to actively be able to dodge getting into fights, which is very hard in some cases.
Yeah, there's one encounter in particular that I won't say it's impossible, because it is actually doable. It's just very difficult to get consistently. Hopefully we might be able to show that off in the run, but it's
on that one.
Very hit and miss.
Gotcha. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. How long have you been speedrunning or streaming on Twitch? Let's start with you this time.
Me?
Who, sorry?
How long have you been speedrunning or streaming on Twitch?
No, you kind of cut out on the starting with who.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bernard.
Yeah, sure. So I kind of started streaming bits and pieces on Twitch. I want to say sort of around 2016ish, maybe, sort of like mid 2016, roughly. In terms of speedrunning, I didn't really get into it until sort of around December 2016, early 2017, I think. Roughly, I can't remember exactly. All I know is I was watching random Undertale meme videos on YouTube, and then suddenly TGH, the world record holder at the time, comes up, and I just start watching the videos there, and it's like, oh, this looks fun. And it just sort of went from there.
Awesome. How about you, Laurie?
I used to be a big fan, and I kind of still am, of Let's Players, and sometimes they'd collaborate and do like a race type. And when there was one I really liked a lot of Zelda 1, I would play along with that. And then one day when I was like watching through that, I saw in my recommended an AGDQ race of Zelda 1, and I was like, I really like this. And then in about 2015, I'd say, is the time I picked up my first like actual speed game, and then 2016 is when I finally got around to start streaming my stuff.
Very nice, very nice. So, have either of you participated in Extra Life events before?
I personally have not. There have been a few I've wanted to do, but unfortunately all the other ones I've done like fell through before they got to start.
Yeah, this is the first Extra Life event that I've participated in specifically, and hopefully the first of many, because obviously, you know, this is a good cause, and obviously more so even with the community as well, with this sort of community in particular, it's something I feel like I can contribute a bit more to, rather than just sort of observing from the sidelines, if you will.
Makes sense, and it's very awesome to have both of you here doing this run for. So, our next question, what other games do you like to play? Bernard, let's start with you. We'll just alternate between you.
Yeah. So I've got a few other speedrun games that I want to get into, but unfortunately it's a case of the mind being, well, the spirit being willing, but the mind being weak. Namely, I wanted to try Crash Bandicoot runs and Celeste. In terms of casual stuff, I mainly get into like Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, sort of your FPS/RPG style games, I guess.
And Laurie?
When it comes to me speedrunning things, I'll tell you now, whenever I pick up a new, not like a new, but just like pick up an indie game, even if it's like brand new or it's been out for a while, and play through it, there's gonna be like a 90-something% chance I look into the speedrun. So that's a big part of my catalog. Games I'm most notable for are probably games though like Pony Island and One Shot, because those are the games where I've probably made the most progress as a runner in a community, as compared to this game where, you know, people know me and stuff, but I haven't been able to break through and do something like impressive, like super impressive.
All right. How long have y'all been a part of the furry fandom? Let's start with you, Laurie.
So I mentioned earlier, I like watching a lot of gaming content on YouTube, and obviously, like, content creators, especially those that make like lists, they do a lot of special stuff at the end of the year, whether it be best games of that year or best games that didn't necessarily come out that year, but games that they just played for the first time that year. And on one of the people I like to watch, at the end of 2015, they mentioned a game that they really liked that they played that year called Dust and Elysian Tale. And I wanted to pick the game up because I thought Fidget looked cute. And when I finally got the game in about spring of 2016, oh goodness, That's the end of that story.
How about you, Bernard?
So I guess I really fully got into the fandom properly. I want to say sort of mid-late 2017-ish. I was kind of just exploring stuff on the internet and all that, as you do from time to time, and I happened to come across some particular pieces done by an artist that I actually thought looked really good, and I sort of went from there, and I thought, well, hey, you know, I can relate to this a little bit, so long story short, I talked to someone who was doing commissions at the time and said, hey, would you mind doing this but in a different pose and with different colorings and all that? And that was, I guess, my initiation, if you will, into the fandom.
It's always nice to hear, very different ways of people getting into the fandom. We're running a little short on time, so is there anything else you want the viewers to know? And what is other ways to reach you, your Twitch, social media?
Laurie, do you want to go first?
I honestly actually don't use much social media other than Twitch. I've used Twitter for a while. I don't really anymore. So, the best thing I can say is like every Twitch stream, I try and fit the link to my Discord server and my Discord ID itself. If you want to add me as a friend on the stream layout, so that should hopefully be very easy if you want to start talking to me. And other than that, all I have to say is I'm just excited for the race because I don't know how well this has been mentioned, but Bernard and I's race history in this game has always been very tough.
Definitely. I guess in terms of social media and all that, Twitch, my name's just basically the same as it is basically everywhere else. So like with Discord, it's just Bernard the Bear, but obviously with Twitch, because you can't do spaces and the name I wanted to go with was taken, I've just got underscore between each word of it, so it's like Bernard underscore the underscore bear. Twitter I don't really use that much, so other than that, I guess yeah, just what was I gonna say? Train of thought. Also, yeah, Jevil incentive as well, because the Jevil theme is a pretty good OST, and obviously it's something that I think Laurie and I might be able to do. I don't know if Laurie's practiced it or not, but I'm kind of rusty, so I should probably practice it at some point.
I don't think I've ever tried fighting him. I usually end up sparing him when I play. I don't know if that matters.
Well then this is going to be an interesting incentive if it gets met, because I'm probably going to do the other option.
I mean, that's good to show off both options. That's good to show off both options.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I practiced it twice. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. I'm guessing we're wrapping things up.
Yes, we are. Thank you both for joining me. You can catch our two Deltarune runners, Bernard the Bear and LaurieDBunnykins, Saturday at, I gotta do math real quick, 10:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in for that. Thank you again, both. Thank you both again for joining us for this interview, and greatly looking forward to your role.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm excited. I'm just excited.
I'm sure everyone else is as well. We will be back in just a couple of minutes. We're getting set up for our final part of this evening, which I believe is a Ocarina of Time.
The only time I ever hear a song on the radio that mentions a girl's brains are the ones about fellatio. I want to hear a song